I should have been smarter when we were building the show of not putting it here and giving it more time to breathe. If I pull the curtain back a little bit, I just think the noon hour is the biggest hour for us. So I thought it was the best story, so it'd go there. So, but the good news is, Danny, we can pivot. We can do whatever we want on our show. You know that?
It's true.
So I want to kind of keep this Shaedon contract situation going because I think it's kind of a great preview into the Blazers season, and in the sense that a lot of the Blazer future success hinges on how good Shaedon Sharpe is. And that leads me to this question. And this is the fear I always have of players, whether it's my team or other teams, when they're negotiating contracts. Some guys are like Trey Hendrickson, who are like, I want to be here. And he'll say that, I want to be here. I just want to get paid. And I think my first concern is that guys are saying no to contract extensions, not because the money's not right, but also because they don't want to be here. So as my insider guy, Danny, I mean, is there any thought that he doesn't want to be? I don't know what that would be.
No.
Because I think this team could be really, really fun in 4 years if a lot of stuff really pans out. So I guess I asked that question because that, as a Blazer fan, that's always my concern that, you don't want to hang out with me.
Look, I haven't gotten this from anybody as far as like the organization or anything along those lines. Like Jeremy did not want to be here because of basketball stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like period, point blank. And JG,
well, he's in a different point of his career.
But I mean, but I'm not saying anything that JG would get mad at me for saying or anything along those lines. Like he said as much. He's like, I thought I was gone. Like, but I haven't. Honestly, if there's anybody on this team who has a right to feel that way right now, it's Scoot.
Yeah, maybe.
With Dame coming back and Drew,
does not make me feel great if I'm Scoot. Yeah.
I will say, slight little tangent. We didn't really talk about this on Media Day. Scoot was asked about Dame, and Scoot dropped the line of, well, Rip City got what they want. And I was like, my eyebrow went up a little bit. Like, not
That's
worried.
An interesting phrase.
But I was like, huh.
Interesting choice of words.
Interesting choice of words. And I'm not throwing that out there to spice anything up. My eyebrow went up when he said that. I was like,
hear you.
Let me take a little note of that. And I don't have any reason to think that Scoot doesn't want to be here in the sense of like with this team or in this city. I mean, I know that the New Orleans Pelicans made a real move to try to get him on heading into the draft, and it would make sense for them because they wanted a point guard that like made sense to get things going. Scoot's from Marietta, Georgia. It's a quasi local area to New Orleans. All the things kind of made sense. Look, it's not a secret that young black millionaires probably don't want to be in Portland.
No, we know that. We've talked about, everybody's talked about that at length. I understand it.
That is a hurdle to overcome.
One thing I absolutely love about this city is that this city is a very welcoming city. We don't care what you look like, don't care how you act. However, it is mostly white people.
And look, for all the guys that I've talked to over the years, almost all of them that have come here have been like, and when they first get here, and then they get here and they're like, you know what? This place is pretty dope. Like,
this place is dope. There's just not a lot for a 21-year-old black millionaire to do in this town, and I get that.
But also, you know what? Also, that helps. Not that they, can't do it without it. That's not what I'm saying.
Helps keep you clean.
It keeps you out of trouble because it's a fishbowl, man.
It's not a whole lot to get in trouble with.
Look, if you're a 6'8" black guy in this city, you stand out.
You do.
Like, so you like New York, you're fine. And Atlanta, you're fine. And Miami,
Also in this city, we love our Blazers.
Yes.
This city loves the Blazers. So if you're out and about and you get to see, a player out and about.
Hodgson's getting love everywhere he goes, man.
I had a buddy who told me all the time he would always get to see Mason Plumlee because he lived in the Pearl District and shopped at the same
Mason
grocery store.
Walked around all the time.
Shopped at the same Whole Foods as him or in Safeway and stuff like that. And he loved that he was able to see that. So I hear you on that. So I'm glad to know that. That again, like I said, that's always my concern when it comes to players and contract negotiations is that secretly they just don't want to be here.
I think if the number made sense exactly, I mean, look, I'm never going to begrudge any player for taking what they can get. Always do that because you never know when it's going to be gone. And the guys that don't, I do appreciate it when it helps with team building stuff. Like, yeah, I kind of like, this is like tongue in cheek, like, oh, Jalen Brunson took this, discount. So, they could keep McHale and OG and all these things. And I'm like, well, he probably got something on the side, maybe like the Clippers deal, something like that, like you always kind of have to wonder now after with Kawhi and aspiration and the Clippers, like how that may or may not transpire. But the guys that you say, well, why doesn't he take a deal? And I'm like, Because he doesn't have to. His job is to maximize his potential earnings. That's his job. And so I don't get mad at guys that get in these protracted contract negotiations. But as it pertains to Shaedon and every single upcoming restricted free agent that doesn't have 2 feet down, like if you're not Paolo, if you're not Chet, if you're not Franz, if you're not Jalen, like if you're not one of them, Wemby, like if you're not like a no doubt full max rookie extension guy, you are in for a rude awakening. We
saw that a lot with RFAs this year.
And I'm telling you right now, man, I had a reeling suspicion this was going to come, but I thought it was going to be over a longer period. And you'd see it just kind of come down less and less and less. Dusty and I had talked about this last couple of years, and I kept using Levine as the guy and Brandon Ingram. Those are the two. Like, we aren't talking about Toronto trading for Brandon Ingram and extending him. He got $42 million, where if the Raptors had just waited, they would have given him probably half that.
Well, yeah, Brandon Ingram.
That's a lot of Brandon Ingram.
That's a lot of Brandon Ingram.
And I am not paying. If I'm running a team, I am not paying Brandon Ingram $40+ million.
No, definitely not.
Way.
We'll get you out on this. 503-864-6326. I love this question being asked. My worry for Shaedon is output compared to injury. This year, he has to not only show he's heading towards reaching his potential, but missing games will hurt him a lot in discussions, in my view. I think that's a valid point. And some of the numbers, as Bob points out on the chat, some of his numbers don't look great, especially shooting from 3-point.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be because of shoulder, lingering issues? I mean, I will say that he's only 21 and there's a lot to go. But whether it was his 1 year, quote unquote, at Kentucky, or it's his short time in the NBA, injuries follow this guy a little bit.
Both him and Scoot have shown a propensity to get dinged up. And that's just the reality when you're...
And dings are dings.
Dings are like... Few and far guys play more than 65 games a year. It is what, like, Wemby's rolling over your shoulder right now. He didn't get hurt, but he had a blood clot that kept him out the remainder of the year. It's like, stuff happens, man. It's 82 games, and you're talking about quite literally the largest humans on the planet playing at a very violent pace and playing 82 games a year. Stuff is going to happen.
Yeah.
There's injury prone and there's dings. Like, I don't know if Shea or Scoot are injury prone or if they're just dings. And you have to get your body. Like, Dame played with a baseball-sized disruption in his groin for 4 years before he had that core muscle surgery. And it acted up every single year. CJ McCollum's feet are so bad that he stopped going in the paint and turned into a mid-range maestro because he broke his foot twice. And he was just like, I am not going to risk this anymore. And it's just what happens. And so it's certainly something that I look at, but it's not something I'm worried about with him yet. I want them to agree to a deal that makes sense for both sides. But if I was a betting man, unless Shaedon takes the lower end, I don't think they get a deal done just because of where the CBA is at with things. Mm-hmm. And if I'm Shaedon, and this is me, and this is where I am, and I'm older, and I've looked at things for a long enough time, and I'm not him in his position. If I could get them up to 95 or 100, I'd take it and I'd run, because getting $25 million locked in,
it's pretty nice.
Because make a phone call to Quentin Grimes, make a phone call to Jonathan Kuminga, make a phone call to Cam Thomas. If something happens then this year, because if you look at the landscape of the NBA, teams aren't keeping cap space open. And if you're not better than one of those guys to be able to not only get that RFA offer, you are beholden to that team or playing on a QO where you could get hurt.